Hello.
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Sorry that we're 2 minutes late, but we're now finally ready to get started.
Ready to get started. A very small technical bug, but we're on it now. Yeah. Are you you're presenting your screen?
Yes, I can share my screen just a second. Just a second, and I should be able to share my screen. But maybe Thomas, you can briefly introduce you and the topic today. I'll also share the screen at the same time, and then I'll talk about workflow triggers and how to use them inside webCRM.
Certainly. So my name is Thomas. I am what's called product manager of integration for a company called FSC, which means I oversee everything related to integrations for the suite of the FSC products, and simultaneously I am in charge of the webCRM platform and everything developed there, and integrations as well. So today we're looking at one of our absolute most interesting integration, which is with the Vainu marketing platform, and the new addition we added to that feature, which we've had for, I would say, a year, 1.5 years. And now we added a new very nice feature, if we have to say so ourselves, and we will. So that's what we will be presenting today. Mikko will be explaining what this feature means on a high level, and I will be demoing how to actually use it afterwards. So yeah, Mikko.
Thanks, and good morning, everyone. Mikko is my name, one of the co-founders of Vainu, and we launched Vainu already. It was a little bit more than 7 years ago, so it's been quite some time, and super happy that we have been able to build an integration together with webCRM. Workflow triggers is a feature. It's actually one of the first features we built when we started Vainu, but it took quite a few years before we realized that the destination for those trigger events should not be email, it shouldn't be Teams or Slack, but it should be actually CRM. So instead of sending email notifications, we create tasks and activities for salespeople so that they know the best possible timing when to be in touch with companies. In a moment, I'm going to show you a presentation about the concept so that everybody gets the definition of trigger event, what we mean by trigger event. I'll also show you some results of customers and users of workflow triggers, how they've been able to increase meeting booking hit rates and conversion. And also I'll highlight some of the most useful and most common trigger events that could be used. And then we go into the demo, and at the end we have time for questions. Thomas, as an organizer, I think you need to once more give me rights to share my screen, and then I'm able to share the deck.
You should be an organizer now.
Yes. And just a second. Now you will be seeing also the screen. Let me see if it goes into full screen mode as well. So very good. If you have any questions, comments, the chat in GoToWebinar is open to you. We'll take a look at the questions at the end and answer all of them. So please be active. Workflow triggers. So first, let's start with the definition. What is a workflow trigger? And we talk about trigger events, so it's important that we have the same definition for it. So it is a specific change that happens in a company that opens up a window of opportunity for sales. So basically, it's a good reason to be in touch with a prospect or a good reason to be in touch with an existing customer. Couple of examples. When there's a new decision maker being appointed for a company, that's one of the trigger events. Another one could be an announcement of a funding round. Company raises round of funding, typically they invest in new things. Revenue growth might be a trigger event. Expansion announcement could be a trigger event. Opening up a new office could be trigger event. Putting out a specific job opening, highlighting that they are investing in a new department and need more people, that could be a trigger event. So there's lots of different type of trigger events, and of course important that we always analyze what's an important trigger event in for our business. Typically one of those changes that creates or opens up that window of opportunity for the product or service you're selling. So that's trigger event, and that's the core of this webinar. This is the only slide where you also see a little bit of Finnish language. Vainu is originally a Finnish company. This is the first slide deck we created back in 2013, 2014. It says basically in Finnish that there are interesting things happening on a daily basis within companies. And as I mentioned already earlier, in the early days, when people used and tracked companies regarding key appointments, job openings, funding announcements, we always delivered those trigger events to email inboxes. But of course, nobody wants to get too many emails, and people do not want to switch and jump between tabs. So when we started building integrations, we realized that people really want to receive these trigger events inside their CRM. And most typical use cases that people would like to receive automated tasks or activities in their CRM that are assigned to the individuals who own those companies in question. So that was definitely a finding. I'm super happy that the team at webCRM, that they've done a good job and they've implemented all this so that it's now live in webCRM. A couple of results. When we first started using workflow triggers internally, connected with our CRM, these are some of the monthly results. So we had a couple of SDRs and sales development reps. They have their main focus is to book good meetings for account executives. So they only focused on these trigger events. So they did not do any cold outreach. They didn't do any like cold outbound calls. They just focused on monitoring what's happening within ideal customers, and then they took action and reached out once they realized that, hey, there's a new opportunity and now I have a good reason to be in touch. So per month, the results from those individuals per person, on average 107 new companies that they identified per month that are ideal customer profiles and meet the criteria, and then on average 30 meetings booked. Those are of course solid numbers, but I think the most unique number is that call to meeting hit rate went up a lot. We all know that if we pick up the phone and call somebody out of blue, we do not have very high likelihood of landing a meeting. We need to make lots of calls and have high activity. But with workflow triggers, when the timing often is very good and we have a good reason to be in touch and it's something that we can communicate to the client, call to meeting hit rate was as high as 28%. So of course that's also lots of fun for the people doing that job, because they get success, and the calls they do, they lead to meetings that they book. So this one, hopefully you can pay attention to this slide, because if you're able to sort of fulfill this sentence, then you're able to use workflow triggers in an effective way. But this is what we always discuss with new customers when they're implementing workflow triggers. So it's important that we know when do we want our salespeople to be in touch. Also, we need to know what are the companies we want to keep an eye on. Then also we need to understand where that trigger event, what it actually creates and where, and what type of information is included. So I'll give you a couple of examples. So if you have customer success people and they have their own customer portfolio, so for example, a key account manager working with 50 key accounts, that individual could create a trigger event so that every time when any of my key accounts appoints a new decision maker, then I want a task to be created in my web CRM so that it's assigned to me and has that link to that, for example, press release included. Another example for new business is, as a new business person, every time when a company that meets the criteria of my ideal customer, when they announce expansion plans or raise a round of funding, I want to receive a task in my webCRM with all the basic company information included. So we want to make sure that we are taking action based on trigger events that are important for either new business or account managers. And we have done this and made this super easy and simple for you to do in webCRM. So a couple of benefits by working that way. We can automate the prospecting quite a bit. As we will show you in a moment, when you create a target group in Vainu, let's say that you want to target technology companies located in Copenhagen that are having more than 50 employees, for example, that would be a very simple search. Location is Copenhagen, and employee count is more than 50, and industry is information technology or software. So then we have some results in Vainu. Let's assume that we have, let's say, 1,000 companies meeting the criteria. So then with and by using workflow triggers, you can set alerts that every time when Vainu detects a new company that meets the criteria, a task will be created inside webCRM. Because one of the trigger events is that whenever a new company enters a saved list, which is a target group in Vainu. So this way you don't have to go in to Vainu or any other place to see that are there any new companies that are now in tech located in Copenhagen and having more than 50 employees. We do it automatically for you. And when you log into your webCRM in the morning, if we have detected a new one, there will be a task waiting for your sales team saying that, hey, newly found company that meets the criteria, meaning that to some extent we can automate prospecting for you. Super powerful feature. Also, it improves timing and messaging. Many of us, we work in sales and marketing, but we also, I believe many of us, we receive sales calls and sales emails. And we all know that it's a lot more fun and more professional if the person who is reaching out can also explain and justify why they're actually reaching out, so that it's not just a random cold call, somebody trying to sell me something, but they can go in and say that, for example, if I'm reaching out to one of those tech companies in Copenhagen, I could easily say, if I'm tracking, let's say, new decision makers, I could call in that new decision maker and say that, hey, company XYZ is one of the companies I'm monitoring, and I've been monitoring whenever there's new decision makers, and I just noticed that you started as head of marketing recently, and the reason why I'm calling is, and then we start discussing that way. So we give them and explain that we're doing our homework, we're keeping an eye on interesting companies, and the reason we're in touch is the trigger event. With key accounts, same thing. We do this all the time with our key customers. All companies, they always talk about being customer focused, and what could be more being more customer focused than also knowing how the customer is doing. So whenever a customer is filing a new financial statement, there's lots of interesting information in financial statements, as we all know. We can easily reach out to those key accounts and say that, hey, hi Jim, how's it going? I just saw that you actually filed your financial statement. Congrats on the strong numbers. Congrats on the revenue growth. And by the way, in the financial statement, it was also mentioned that you're planning to do XYZ. I was thinking if we could actually be of any help with that project, for example. So again, it's a lot more natural when we have a reason to be in touch, and it's also nice for the customer and for them to realize that, hey, this salesperson or this key account manager is doing his or her homework and knows the background, and it's not just a random cold call to do. In total, we have more than 70 trigger events to track, so there's lots of opportunities to personalize your outreach and do that at scale. There's a quote from Felix, one of my colleagues. So he was the initial pilot user of workflow triggers. He started as an SDR, sales development rep, focusing on booking meetings and landing meetings for account executives. And he was using the technology trigger, so tracking certain companies whenever they implement a certain web technology that we integrate with. And then he reached out, and he always started by saying that, hey, I've been following your company and I saw that you're now implementing webCRM. I saw that you're implementing technology XYZ. That's the reason why I'm in touch, because I would like to see if Vainu could be useful together with that new platform or tool or technology I've seen that you have been implementing lately. And based on his inputs, he was really happy because they helped him to find that unique and effective angle to use when he's doing his outreach. And also, of course, companies then are every now and then asking, like, how did you know that? How did you actually? How were you able to pick that good timing to call us right now? So it definitely had a big impact on hit rate and landing meetings. He broke all the company records in terms of how many meetings one can book in a month, and also most likely helped him to achieve a promotion pretty quickly, and he's now account executive for us. Then also the third value of workflow triggers is that it saves time. It reduces manual tasks. So the webCRM connection that we have, it does it automatically. So you don't have to keep an eye on trigger events in Vainu and then go to webCRM and create a task and assign it to someone. We have built those rules inside the system. So you just need to pick and choose what are the trigger events that you want to use, what are the companies you want to monitor, and then only once activate the rules who will be assigned with those tasks that are created automatically. But it definitely reduces lots of time and obviously improves efficiency, because salespeople and account managers get tasks inside their CRM. It of course requires that people take action on those tasks. So typically sales ops, revenue ops, and sales and marketing sales leaders, they need to make sure that people use CRM effectively and that they use, for example, tasks, and they complete tasks every day by the end of business. But maybe we could go into the platform and show how it looks on the webCRM side, and then I can also, if needed, show a couple of example searches on the Vainu side. Thomas, do you want to show how
yes,
things?
I'm here. Sure. I just needed my mic on. Let's see. I will take over here. There we go. So, as some of you might know, this is the webCRM platform. I'm just going to start in here. As you know, as I mentioned in the beginning, we've been teaming up with Vainu for quite some time. Sorry about this here. So we have inbuilt Vainu for quite some time, and we can do a few things other than triggers. So actually every webCRM user from the Vainu market or Vainu countries are actually getting Vainu as part of the webCRM platform in a look-up format. That means that you can always use Vainu to look up any company and actually fetch that data into webCRM free of charge. So that will always be part of the webCRM platform. Just to give you an idea on that. Sorry about this. Okay. Yeah. And once you have Vainu, you can do many of the things that we've just spoken about, but it requires you to have a premium version of the integration. So you get Vainu free, which is a lookup feature when you use webCRM. But if you want to do the things that we're talking about today, it requires the Vainu premium version. So from Vainu, what you can do is create the target lists, which Mikko explained. And now I cheated a little bit and already did some preparations. I call this Restaurants Copenhagen, so maybe I want to look for that. So right now it's just looking in Denmark, so I need to specify that a little bit more. That could be perhaps the city of Copenhagen. Let's see how that goes. Applying that filter. Did I do that wrong?
Let me see. If you go back to there should be a drop-down menu. It's a little bit difficult for me to see. Let me see. Location. Try doing it in a map. You just pick that map.
I'll pick the map instead. Here we go.
Yeah. Then if you pick that, for example,
Copenhagen.
Yeah, you can pick circle, for example, on the left-hand side.
Yeah. I'm not with a mouse, so that would probably have done things a little bit easier. We'll just take this area, and you can imagine this being a little bit bigger than Copenhagen.
Yeah. I mean, that's for the example.
You get the idea. This is definitely easier if you have a mouse. I will promise you that. And then, of course, you will go to an industry. Could be in here. Business industry, official, and pick whichever fits the restaurant need. Yeah, it's in here somewhere.
It's number 56. That's the industry code for Denmark. But I mean, in terms, and it's under. Let me think. I think you can just type in restaurant there, and it will.
Yeah, it might be enough.
If you type in rest, now you have 2 E's there.
Sorry, rest. There we go. Yeah, and you can go below. So if you want to be more specific, you can take it. Even further. But now we'll just take these. And of course, I'll get a pretty high number, so it's not very specific. But you could go further and further and say employees or opened and so on. But now this is my list. If I save this list is automatically live updated by Vainu all the time, and this actually means that now this list is part of my active lead list, one of my active lead lists from Vainu, and will automatically be getting organizations and activities like Mikko mentioned. So this is actually ongoing feeding my system with new leads and new organizations and new activities, so I can actually work without doing a lot of I don't have to do a lot of manual job. I'll just pick up my system and get a notification. If you're using the new notification over here, we're actually getting it here when there's something new happening. So all of it is being fed directly into the platform to certain sales guys or whoever you want to actually have these activities, because you can set up who should get these activities, or you can just spread it out on a handful or even everyone from the system. I'll show you where you do that in a second. So you're both getting it as notifications. You're getting it, of course, as new clients or organizations, and they will be added to your activity list automatically. So the extension of this is the workflow triggers, and as you can imagine, Mikko is much more advanced at this. But again, I did some preparations, and I made a list called Change of CEO, and I can show you what that consists of. So right now, I'm actually getting live updates from Vainu on changes for this segment, Change of CEO. and I can see a snippet of what that contains. So what I've done is I've chosen an event in here, an event, and that event I choose from a drop down, and I've chosen from company direction or personnel changes, sorry, where I added the change of CEO. So these are tags coming from Vainu, so they are specific. Then you can include a keyword here. Do you have some ideas what a keyword would be that makes sense here, Mikko?
Yeah, now for this one, there's no need for keywords because CEO change is a CEO change. Typically, if you track new job openings, then you would most likely want to include a keyword. So we have seen, for example, companies that are selling services for e-commerce. They very often use workflow trigger that is applied that whenever a company is posting a new job opening that mentions e-commerce manager, for example. So then you would specify you don't want to get every single job opening the companies are posting, but only the ones that are very specific to the area you focus on. So especially for job openings, that might be super useful. Sometimes expansion announcements, you could track companies that are opening up offices in a specific city, then you would most likely use the city name as a keyword if you want to see companies that are expanding to Aarhus or opening up an office in Copenhagen or something like that. But for this specific example, you don't need keywords.
Yeah, and you can add more filters. So of course, the more advanced or the more specific you want to be, you can go further filtering.
Yeah,
I
and
say this
on the bottom right, you can also see the chat function. So of course, whenever you're building this, and if you're wondering what should I do, you can of course open up that live chat. We have individuals online during the business hours, and they know the feature and the data in and out, and of course more than happy to help if you're wondering, for example, if whether you should include keywords or not.
Yeah, and you can add more filters, so even below the other ones. Yeah, so if you change your mind or you want to add something more, you can just do it afterwards. Yeah. Then you choose from here where the destination of the notification or the event should actually go. So you can also email it, but of course this is what we're talking about today, which is it's called a webhook, and it just means that whenever something happens, webCRM looks for this change and pick up the if there are any news coming in and adds it to directly to webCRM. So I've set that up. After that, I can choose when I want these events. So if I don't want to get spammed all the time, if I want to spend an hour a day working with activities, then I pick the days that I want to have in use, and maybe I'll have my weekend off, and I choose in the time span from when I actually want to receive these notifications, so I'm not getting them all the time. Maybe if you're subscribing to something that actually changes fairly often, it might be a nuisance to have it running all the time, but you can specify that here. You can also add a one specific time. Yeah, and you can set a limit on how many notifications you want per day. Again, this is all a question of temperament. Yeah, so that's it. Now these are actually this is actually running. If I click this, it stops running, then it goes into the pause triggers that you can see I have lying here. But now it's actually running automatically. So since we've been sitting here, no new CEO came in, so none of these are going into to the system. So I'll just pick some for the presentation, and I can export these 3 events if I want them now, which I will. So now these will be running, and they will go into webCRM. They will be, I'd say, almost instant, but I mean not the second I click it, but it's close to. While we wait for those, we can look at the financial growth. It's the same it's the same idea completely. I choose an event. Then I choose from the event what I'm interested in. I'm interested in growth in sales or market share, for instance, which is what I had already. Save that, and here we go. It's already running. If I pause it, it goes here, and then I can activate it again. So that's the side of Vainu. This is what you will be setting up from Vainu. And the way we see it is that Vainu built the platform for doing the filtering, for making the triggers happen, for setting up these the flow of when things are coming into webCRM, and they did it perfectly. So why add this to the webCRM platform and add more complexity to the product when it's already super easy here? So the idea is that you do all the fancy intelligent stuff in Vainu, and you just wait for it to appear in webCRM once it's set up. So now, just before I go and look at what actually came in, I will show you how you set this up. So from the configuration menu, meaning you have to be an admin in webCRM, under integration, and if you have Vainu Premium, of course, you will have a configuration menu. You have your Vainu key and so on. And the important thing here is when you actually get an activity, you can choose who should be responsible for these activities. So you can either say the organization responsible. That would typically be if you are working with account managers. Then by automation, whoever is responsible for that organization will also get the activity based on the idea that if you're responsible for an organization, you want to have that for yourself. And if not, you split it by user. That means that you can split the activities coming in from a selected range of the users you have in webCRM already. So maybe it's only 3 of the 15 users you have in your system, or maybe it's everyone who needs it. Then it's divided equally between the users. And then you set a specific activity action for these type of triggers. So that could be Vainu event or change of CEO, depending on what you're doing. But you set it, you can set it as a standard here, so you always know that this type of action means that it's coming from Vainu, or it could just be a phone list. So you would set something like this. And that's actually all you have to do. Now you should see some activities have come in. If I do this, yeah, here are some from previously today. This is the BHS logistic, which you saw before, that just came in from market data, as you can see here. Yeah, so that's how it works. You will also get a notification here, and like I said, it doesn't come instantly, but it actually does come fairly close to when you click it. I would say that normally it's a little bit faster than what happened here, but I hope you get the idea. So from here you would have your list of events coming in from Vainu. I think that's about it for the triggers. I can just show you that I have to do a little pre-made, kitchen stuff here. If you're interested in the Vainu feature, it's very easy to request it. If you have or anyone who has the webCRM system will see this icon from the organization list. So clicking here will give you this pop-up, and from here, if you click read more or you click order, You will not instantly get the product. You will be in contact with some of us, but you can go in and read more about the product from here, and it will be in your own language. This is Swedish, but if you're in Denmark, you would get it in Danish and so on. Yeah, I hope that was clear enough.
Very good. Do you mind giving me the presentation slides? I have a couple of more slides. Thanks for demoing it. So you should see my screen again, and also enter full screen. So a couple of next steps, as mentioned, for those of you who have the premium integration already, we felt that this is something that you can get for free on top of the integration plan. Only the first 100 accounts though. Some of you got the information already while we were building, so we have 79 of those left. So if you have the paid integration today, this is not an extra cost for you as long as you're one of those 79 individuals confirming it to webCRM that you want to get it activated, and then we'll activate it for you so that you see it in Vainu as we showed. And of course, the chat support is available for you when you're building those searches and when you're building those trigger events. And then existing users, of course, already have Vainu API and integration has already been set up, so it's very, very easy. If you want to discuss more, webCRM consultants ready to help, as Thomas showed, and when it comes to any of the technical details, our online chat support is available. And then let's take questions. I can take the ones that already were posted, but now you have also time to type them in. I think you can use that questions or chat box that is available through GoToWebinar. There was a question about the countries we cover with workflow triggers. At the moment, we cover the same countries as we cover regarding the company data. So Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and Finland. And the question if the triggers are different from country to country, they're more or less the same. So more or less the same triggers in all countries. However, there might be small minor changes regarding the data. What could be a good example? For example, local authorities in Finland keep a track of registered new domains, so that trigger event might return data only in Finland and maybe not in Norway if Norway doesn't do the same thing through authorities. Then, but all these like funding announcements, expansion announcements, we mainly pick them from news articles and press releases, so they're available in all places. Also, these senior management changes, they're available in all countries. So there's no big difference between trigger events available in each country. And then a question about if it's possible to try it out and regarding pricing, I think this slide that you see already answered. So for those of you who do not have an integration, first of all, I think you should check if the integration, all the data updates and automated prospecting is something that you want to invest in. If you do so, then this feature is for free on top of that for the first 100. And trying it out, I mean, well, for the existing users, I think then super easy to try it out. You can just ask us to activate it. Otherwise, we do not have like a complete free trial for those of you who do not have the integration set up already. And now let me see if there's any new questions. No new questions, but I think that's really it. Recording will be available for all of you, and we'll share it with you, and we can also send you a follow-up email with all the important links. For example, we have some documents, materials, videos explaining how this all works. But I mean, we all know that it's very often about good timing in sales, and workflow triggers has been created to improve timing for sales and marketing so that hit rate goes up, and it's more fun for salesperson and more fun for the buyer because the timing is good and there's a real reason why our salespeople and account managers are reaching out to potential customers. And as we said, there's no need to jump between platforms and tabs. You can just keep using your webCRM, and those trigger events will be automatically created for the users as tasks and activities. Hopefully you enjoyed today. Sorry about the technical issues at the beginning, but anyways, we were able to start more or less on time and finish also Q2 as promised. From my point of view and from my behalf, I wish everyone an excellent weekend and good luck for reaching Q2 targets. Thank you.
Thank you. We just had one question coming in right at the end here.
Okay.
And it's a question on how we know if someone is an integration user. You should be able, if you are on an organization or you could create an organization, you will see the Vainu logo next to the organization name. And clicking that will pop up the Vainu feed, and you will from there pick up the Vainu organization, and clicking that, it will populate the data from Vainu, so you have everything gathered from Vainu. So you only have to write the organization name, CVR number or phone number, and it will be picked up by Vainu. That should do it. Thanks from me as well. If you have follow-up questions, don't hesitate to contact us about any of this. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Have a great week all.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.